this is scary. I'm gonna put my cellular device down so I can give you my full attention. I can slouch and I'm still at the perfect level. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. What's up? My name is Samuel Alvarez. What a year, 2022. This has been a crazy year. I think I would give this year the award for most improved. Because at the beginning of the year, it wasn't looking too hot. But at the end of the year, dude, this year was absolutely incredible. Before we get into the video, which as you can probably tell by the title, is gonna be a recap video of this entire year, I do just wanna go ahead and put out a disclaimer. If you're new to the channel, this video is in no way similar at all to any of my other videos. Usually I do fun vlogs and other videos that are a lot more entertaining than this. I just like to do these types of videos at the end of every year for memory purposes and honestly just for me to be able to look back on and see what all has happened throughout the year. I mean, I still think that you should watch the video and see the recap of my year, but just wanted to put that out there. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my lovely MacBook right here in front of me with a list of everything that has happened this year, and I'm just gonna run through this whole list and it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna do a whole 2022 rewind, see what all has happened. All right, so jumping straight into January 1st, we started off the year by coming back into town. I live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, because at the time I was a sophomore in college. Now I'm a junior at the University of Alabama. My family had gone out of town for Christmas and New Year's to celebrate down in South Alabama with my mom's side of the family. But we came back into town on January 1st. Right off the bat, we were starting to get situated into things and preparing for the upcoming semester at the University of Alabama. First things first, I had a meeting with the vice president of my fraternity where we went through a list of all the events that were planned for that semester. I kind of assisted him in giving him pointers and suggestions and things that might be helpful to those events, as well as him kind of giving me a rundown of the semester so that I can be thinking of things throughout the semester on how I could help him. We had that meeting at the music building at the University of Alabama. He's actually a music therapy student at the university. Since we were actually on his side of town, he decided to give me a grand tour of the whole music building, which I had been in before, but like I'm talking a grand tour all the way up to the attic. I don't even know what they're called, banisters? I don't actually know how tall it was, but it was so high up. My legs were shaking. It was terrifying walking on that thing, so it was pretty crazy. And then that night, I actually did not do a lot of unpacking from that winter break because I had to throw myself back into the suitcase and get ready for Passion Conference. It was my first time going to Passion, and it was an absolutely incredible experience. There was a lot of sleep deprivation, but overall, it was such an incredible event. So many incredible worship leaders, so many incredible speakers, and honestly, just one of the most incredible environments I've ever been to. Literal thousands of people praising the name of Jesus. Insane. And then on the way back to Tuscaloosa from Passion Conference, I actually had a couple of my female friends send me screenshots because they were finding my pictures on Tinder. That was a pretty big change from Passion Conference to Tinder. But anyways, apparently somebody was taking my pictures off Instagram and then using it to make a fake Tinder account. So apparently my name is Jack. I'm 20 years old. I was 19 at the time. I'm 20 now, and it had a wonderful tagline of "You could be my future ex-wife. Why miss out on that opportunity?" or something like that. Which, if you know me, and even if you don't know me, let me just tell you, first of all, I don't use Tinder. Second of all, my name's not Jack. I'm not 20 years old. Third of all, I would never say something like that if I had a dating profile. I mean, like, I'm honored that they liked my pictures enough to like use them to catfish people, but it's kind of creepy, kind of weird. Not really about that. So if you see somebody that looks like me and their name is Jack and they're on Tinder, report them. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that. Whatever. Additionally, in the month of January, the University of Alabama made it to the national championship for football, which so awesome, so much fun, until we lost to Georgia, which was an absolute stake to the heart. Like, I don't even want to bring it up. But anyways, my group of friends from church, we bounced around to a couple different watch parties, and after the game was over, I actually went to the strip of Tuscaloosa where everybody would have gone to party if we had won, and it was just absolutely vacant. There were cop cars and news reporters everywhere who had been like ready for the big win, and it didn't happen, so that was awkward. And then a couple days later, I started my second semester of my sophomore year at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. All right, what else happened in January? Ooh, the next day, the Coachella lineup got released for Coachella 2022. It was the first Coachella Music Festival since COVID and the pandemic and everything, so it was the first year back. It was gonna be a really big deal. The headliners at the time were Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, and Kanye West. Anyways, yeah, we'll get into that later. Because it was the beginning of a new semester, my fraternity had their semesterly rush week, as most Greek organizations do every semester. So our events for that rush week was a pizza meet and greet. We had a table like get on board day. We rented out a bowling alley. We had a nice invitation only dinner. We rented out a broom ball facility. So it's kind of like hockey, but you play with your tennis shoes, and instead of a puck, it's a ball. Then to end it all, we had an open chapter to let the new guys come in and kind of see what we're about and what a typical chapter meeting looks like. So that's always a great time. We got several new guys, and I'm actually pretty close with a few of them too. So it was great to have new additions to the brother. And then to end the month of January, my cousin Larbeth, who goes to Stanford University up in Birmingham, they have an annual showcase, show choir type thing where like all the Greek organizations, all the clubs, other organizations, a bunch of groups of people basically each put on a mashup show choir number, and it's like a big competition and the whole school does it, and it's like a really big deal. Stanford University has been doing it for a long time. Like I know my aunt did it when she went to college back in the 90s. So it's a pretty cool tradition and it's been around for a while. Now it's my cousin Larbeth's turn to be in step sing. So she's in the sorority Tri Delta at Stanford University. So they did their performance, I think it was called like Bells or something like that. And the story behind it was like there was going to be this big proposal and engagement, and all the sorority sisters were like the bridesmaids. It was a bunch of love songs. It was pretty cool. That wraps up the month of January. So moving on to February. First things first, my little sister Carolina, who I absolutely adore. She's my best friend ever. She was in her first showcase. She's going to the same high school that I went to, Tuscaloosa County High School. One of the big things at County High is the choir. And I know that's not usually a big thing at like most high schools. Like at County High, like choir's the thing to do. There's like hundreds of people in the choir. Literally, I'm not even exaggerating. And so their showcase is usually the biggest event of the year. Sold out venues for 2 or 3 nights. But anyways, she was a freshman at high school, and so it was her first showcase. It was so much fun to be able to go and see my little sister be in the same shows that I was in. One of my favorite songs that they performed was The New Girl in Town, because I got to see Carolina dancing, and Carolina does not dance a lot. But buddy, she tore that stage up and she killed it. One of the classes I was taking in the spring this year was JCM 350, which I believe is titled like Advanced Videography or something like that. And so that class was essentially giving everybody in the class a taste of different jobs and different roles that happen in the film industry, like directing, camera op, lighting, audio. Our first big project in that class was due, and so we had to like find actors from the theater department, get them to come and act for us, and it was like a really... I love the teacher so much, but the script that he gave us was like so strange. We had to like get up close shots of him eating licorice, which was really weird, and like get the sound of him with the bag and like chewing it. It was weird. And then one of the first weekends in the month of February, me and my friend Zach, we actually took a trip down to Auburn University. And if you didn't know, that's the University of Alabama's biggest rival. So I was pretty hesitant to go, but I was like, you know what, it's a weekend, might as well just go see what's going on there. Let me tell you what's going on at Auburn. Nothing. There's nothing in the town. Absolutely nothing. It's the university, and then like outside of the university, there's nothing there. And we figured that out pretty quick. We rented a hotel. When we got down there, we actually scored tickets to Auburn University's gymnastics competition. So that was pretty cool. We got to see an Olympian, Suni Lee, competing there. So that was pretty cool. But then after that, we learned pretty quick that there was like nothing to do in Auburn. And so we ended up just going back to the hotel and going to sleep for that night. The next day, we got up and we ate brunch at a popular restaurant called Dumps Like a Truck, Irritable Bow. And then we literally drove around the city to try and find stuff to do, and there was nothing. Like we even tried going to the mall, and even the mall had nothing. So then we just went back to the hotel room and just watched Euphoria literally for the entire day. Also, that hotel was kind of rinky dinky. There were roaches in the curtains. I'm not making this up. There were roaches in the curtains. And then after we left, like after we came back home, I realized that I had been eaten up with bed bugs. I'm not even kidding. I had bites all over my arms, and I even found a bed bug in my suitcase or on my clothes. It was somewhere. I brought one of the bed bugs home to my apartment, which is not okay. But on our way back to Tuscaloosa from Auburn, we stopped in Birmingham to see one of their friends who was on the UAB dance team. They were doing a halftime performance at the women's basketball game. We went and we watched the game and we watched their performance, and it was really good. A couple days later, my fraternity had one of our first swaps of the semester with the sorority 80 Chi. We actually had a karaoke night, which was so much fun. I had been begging the officers to do something like that, and we finally did it. I sang Love's an Open Door from Frozen with one of the sorority girls. And then also at the end of the night, I got 2 of the sorority girls to sing Bang Bang by Jessie J, Ariana Grande, and Nicki Minaj. I absolutely killed the Nicki verse, and it was like one of my greatest accomplishments. It was so much fun. Then coming back to the advanced videography class I was talking about, one of the things that we did in the class one of the days was get a bunch of like lighting equipment that could do a bunch of cool colors and try to recreate scenes for, not scenes, let me take that back. We tried to recreate photos of cool lighting from Euphoria. We did not recreate Euphoria scenes. We don't do that in school. They found some screenshots from some Euphoria episodes where the lighting lighting looks really cool. And so one of the things we did when we were learning about different lighting techniques was trying to recreate the lighting in Euphoria. And it was a lot of fun. And our teacher was playing the Euphoria soundtrack. It was a really cool day. And I remember my friend Winter, she was feeling herself in those lights for real. She was like our model, and she pulled out her phone and she was taking a bunch of selfies, and it was really fun. Later on in the month, my fraternity had our first date party. So I invited my good friend Ajalon to come with me to the date party, and the theme of it was emo. I did not know how an emo date party was gonna work out. Let's just say it was an interesting event. Ajalon and I, we got decked out in the best emo outfits that we could figure out. We put on eyeliner, and I even put on black lipstick. I'm not emo, but we made it work, and it was fun. And then, yeah, roll tide. And then to end the month out, my fraternity got together and we went and we did a service project at Hurricane Creek, where we just walked up and down the trails, picked up any litter and trash, garbage everywhere, cleaning the whole area because we got to take care of the environment. And as a fraternity, one of the big things we focus on is philanthropy and service, which leads us to the month of March. I talk a lot about this advanced videography class, but it ended up being one of my favorite classes I've ever taken. Our group had our second project due, and for that project, we actually filmed it at my apartment in the middle of the night. And I remember my roommates were not very happy because we were up pretty late at night, like trying to figure stuff out. We had to like turn the AC off because the AC was running and it was pretty loud. That also was one of the weirder projects that we did. I remember one of the actors had to pretend to be sleeping in my bed. And then I had to like pretend like I was an intruder or something like that. Me! I think I was like on lighting. I can't remember exactly what I was. I was off screen, but I had to pretend like I was an intruder and say like in some weird voice, be like, don't move. It'll all be over before you know it or something. Like it was weird. Delirious moments with my other classmates all packed into a tiny little apartment. Obviously great memories are gonna come out of that. And then a couple days later, my fraternity had our semesterly brotherhood retreat. One of the guys in the fraternity, his aunt has a really nice lake house up at Lake Martin. She actually allowed us to rent out the house for the weekend, and it was so much fun. We took some time to go out into the city that's in, and we watched the Batman. And then obviously we spent a lot of time just hanging out around the house, swimming in the lake, watching Alabama basketball, just having a good time all together. On March 13th, it marked 2 years of COVID and the pandemic and everything. If you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, you've probably seen my March 13th compilations, where even though the world got like really messed up and we went through some really dark times, that I was able to find the light in the good moments in life and still enjoy life despite the chaos. I made a part 2 to that video where I kind of like added on all the memories from the past year. I'm really proud of it. It's something that I look forward to making every year. Kind of like these videos. It's like a little recap. But also in the middle of March is spring break. Praise the absolute Lord, because as much as I love school, I was starting to get fed up. And so it was a much needed spring break. My family and our friend Chiagazium, we rented a really nice place down in Orlando, Florida, and we spent a week in Disney World. Chiagazium is actually from Nigeria, and she had never been to Disney before, so it was really cool getting to see her experience the parks that are talked about worldwide. One of the most notable things from that trip is my sister Carolina and I, we found this photo shoot area at the exit of Test Track and Epcot. They are so janky, but Carolina and I spent hours at that little photo booth area taking hilarious pictures. I'll insert some of them here, and it's so funny. And then also one of the things that happened on that trip that I did not even realize was happening, Splash Mountain is closing in just a few weeks. So I rode Splash Mountain for the last time and did not even realize it. Splash Mountain was the very first Disney ride I ever rode, ever. So it holds a special place in my heart. But anyways, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is coming up, so I'm sure that is going to be an incredible story. I love The Princess and the Frog. So it's not completely gone, but I am going to miss seeing Brer Rabbit and plunging into a thorn bush. But I digress. And then to wrap up spring break, my cousin Laura Beth that I mentioned earlier, Tridel at Sanford was having their formal, and one of her friends was looking for a date, so she asked if I would go as her friend's date. Obviously I said yes because I'm never going to turn down the party. So I got into a nice tuxedo and went up, took pictures, ate dinner, went to the party, and it was a super great time. At that point, obviously school had started back for the second half of the semester. I remember one of the funniest things I've ever seen is my friend Zach and I, we had a class together, and it was an education class. If you didn't know, at the time I was double majoring in creative media, which are the video classes, and secondary math education because I love math and I would love to be a high school math teacher. He is also going to be a high school math teacher, but we had an education class together, and for one of the assignments, I cannot remember for the life of me what it was, but we had to like draw the person to our right. The picture that Zach drew of me sent me over the edge. When I tell you I was cackling in the middle of that classroom. A couple days later, my fraternity rented out a place that does paintball. That was my first time ever playing paintball, and to be honest, I was absolutely terrified because I'd seen people get bruises and I've heard that it hurt. It actually didn't hurt that bad. It just felt like a really bad rubber band snap, you know? I only think I got shot a couple times. I was pretty good, but I lit some other people up. Fortnite taught me well. To end the month of March, I knew that Coachella Music Festival was coming up pretty soon, and I still did not have anybody to go with. And my mother, who knows what's best and is always looking out for me and trying to protect me, she told me that if I did not have somebody to go with, that I could not go. And so I literally had like less than 3 weeks to find somebody who was going to Coachella, who was trustworthy, not like a psycho crackhead off the side of the street. Book flights, find a place to stay, and then get out there to California and go to Coachella because I had tickets. And I did not want to sell my tickets. I really wanted to go, especially with the insane lineup, and I'll get to that later. I posted a like final plea on social media begging people if they are going to Coachella or if they know somebody that's going to Coachella who's like trustworthy and not a psycho crackhead off the side of the street, let me know so that I could go with them. One of my friends saw the video and sent it to one of her friends that she knew from church, and her name is Carly Kim Ewan, and she commented on my post and said, "Someone sent me this. I live in Birmingham and I'm from T-Town and I'm going to Coachella. Let's link up. You can meet my guy friends." When I tell you I was like jumping up and down, running around my apartment, my roommates probably thought I was absolutely bonkers. And then she continued to say, "I'm going with guy friends from England that I met at church in Miami. We may have room at our Airbnb. They're good Christian guys." When I tell you, I mean, it couldn't have worked out any more perfect. I was over the moon. So I told my mom was like, "Are you sure you've never met these people?" And I said, "No, you just said I had to find some good people to go with." And they were good people. So anyways, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. The month of April was absolutely so excited. So let's go ahead and get on with it. To start off the month of April, my advanced videography class, we had our third project. That one I actually really did enjoy the script. We had to shoot over 2 nights and we were there until like 3 or 4 in the morning shooting on like a basketball court in the middle of the night. And we had to use tungsten lights, which if you don't know are like really, really complicated. But I remember our video was like very aesthetically pleasing. I really liked it. That ended up being a good video. Was there a lot of discourse throughout the film crew? Absolutely. But we worked through it and it ended up being a good project. Also, to start off the month of April, my fraternity had our annual island party. If you don't know, it's like a tradition. Anyway, so we had our island party at Snow Hinton Park. Super fun. We had a live band doing music, snacks, drinks, yard games. We had a big kickball tournament. It was so much fun. The next day, my fraternity initiated our new members into the Brotherhood, so they were officially active members of Bucks. So that was really nice, and to celebrate, we all went out to eat a late night dinner at Whataburger. And I remember the cashier at Whataburger looked at me when I was placing my order and he said, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" And I said, "I do." And he was like, "Okay, I've seen your videos before. That's really cool." And I was like, "No, that's so cool that like you've seen them before." And then a couple days later, I packed up my stuff, picked up Ajalon again, and we drove down to the beach because it was the fraternity's formal that weekend down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We didn't get down there until later in the day, but we met everybody on the beach. And I remember it was freezing. It was so cold out on the beach that night. And I brought my lighting equipment to like light up the beach in case people wanted to go crabbing. And I remember there was a girl, Lily, who took one of my lights and held it up like this and went, "Ah!" and started like screaming and running into the ocean with my lights. I said, somebody get her, please." The next morning, I woke up at the crack of dawn because one of my friends, Aaron Martin, was proposing to his girlfriend, now fiance, Rachel. He was gonna do a sunrise on the beach proposal, and he asked me, since I was there, if I would go out and take pictures with them. That was my first time ever doing a proposal photo shoot. It was absolutely terrifying because, in case you haven't pictured this, when you're doing a proposal, it's supposed to be a surprise, so you gotta hide. There's nowhere to hide on the beach, and she knows who I am. So I literally just like stood like hundreds of feet back and just pretended to be taking pictures of the sky. She said yes, by the way, so very happy for them. They're a lovely couple. But he told me later that she saw me. Of course she saw me. And she asked him, she said, "Is that Samuel?" And he said, "No, he was pooping when I left." First of all, what? Second of all, who's pooping at 5 a.m.? Who is waking up at 5 a.m. to take a dump? Not me. I don't wake up. I sleep in. Anyway, so that excuse could have been better, but whatever. They're engaged now, so very happy for them. And then we went back to the hotel. I got Ajalon in the car and we were heading out for the day to go eat brunch with some other people and go play mini golf. And then I got a flat tire. That is the first time I've ever gotten a flat tire in that car. And of course it had to happen at formal 5 hours away from home. So I had to call some of the other people there at the formal and be like, "Hey, can y'all come take Ajalon and make sure she has a good time for the day?" day until I get this taken care of. And I went to Mavis Tires and I spent the entire day at Mavis waiting to get one tire fixed. It ended up getting fixed at the end of the day, but I spent the entire day there, which was such a bummer. I got out just in time to go pick up Ajalon from my friends at the end of the day, went back to the hotel, we changed, then we went and ate dinner at Jenny Lane, which is a really, really nice restaurant there at the wharf. I had the best shrimp Alfredo ever. It was so, so good. And after that, we hit up the formal dance party, which was also there at the wharf, and it was a super great time. And then the next day, it was Sunday, so everybody started heading back to Tuscaloosa. But since I've missed out on like the entire full day at the beach the day before, Ajalon and I actually stayed down in Gulf Shores for pretty much the entire day. We hung out at the beach, finally got a beach day. We jumped some waves, we laid out and tanned. While we were in the ocean, somebody came and put ice cold water bottles on our towels, and we came back and we were kind of scared to drink them. If they were doing it out of the goodness of their heart, thank you so much. That was very thoughtful. But we were kind of scared that like the water was drugged or something. So we ended up just throwing our water bottles away. And then we came back home because 3 days later, I got up at the crack of dawn. My dad drove me to Birmingham's airport and I flew out to Los Angeles, California, where I met up with Carly Kim and her two friends, Adam and Sam. We got in our rental car and we drove all the way to Palm Springs, where we stayed in their Airbnb and got ready for Coachella. The day before Coachella, we had an entire day at Palm Springs and we didn't really have anything to do. We actually found this one place out in the desert where you could rent four-wheelers for 30 minutes. It was like $50 for 30 minutes, which is a lot, but it ended up being one of the most fun things I've ever done. Literally just riding four-wheelers out in the desert of California. It was so, so much fun. And then obviously the next day was Coachella Music Festival, one of the highlights of my life. It was so, so much fun. I saw so many people whose music I enjoy. Let's see, I saw Lil Baby, Daniel Caesar, Harry Styles, Shania Twain came out with Harry Styles. I literally peed on the floor. Disclosure, Flume, Megan Thee Stallion, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Karol G, Doja Cat, and then The Weeknd to finish it out because I didn't mention this earlier. Kanye dropped out of the lineup the week before Coachella or something like that. And so they pulled up The Weeknd to headliner position and he actually collaborated with Swedish House Mafia. It was cool. It was a great way to end Coachella. I tried to vlog for Coachella, but it honestly just didn't end up working out and I kind of gave up and I just went and I just enjoyed myself without having to worry about filming stuff. So maybe the vlog clips that I did get will show up someday in a video that never happened episode. I don't know. And now some honorable mentions of memories from Coachella. We were getting on one of the buses to head out to the festival and there was some guy decked out, it's probably fake, decked out in Louis Vuitton everything, like hat, glasses, shirt, pants, shoe, like everything Louis Vuitton. And so I told him, I was like, dude, your outfit's really cool, I like it. And he said, thanks, I like you. But he didn't say it like it was like creepy. Vibes were not there. And so I was like, oh. And that was like the first day there. When I tell you I did not speak to anybody else for the rest of the festival because I was like kind of scared. Carly Kim, Adam and Sam actually left Billie Eilish's show early to head back home, but I wanted to stay for a full set. And so I stayed at Coachella Music Festival by myself, which means I had to ride back home by myself, which was kind of scary. I thought about walking home because I didn't want to pay the fee, but then I was scared, so I called an Uber. When I was going to Coachella, I honestly thought I would see like a lot of influencers and a lot of like celebrities and stuff like that, but I actually only saw one. I saw Vinny Hacker. He walked like right in front of me. We just kind of looked at each other and then he just kept walking. After the festival was over, I finally realized what people meant by the Coachella cough, the festival flu. All the dust that you like breathe in and pick up from being out in the desert for that festival like settles in your lungs and it like hurts to breathe and you start coughing a lot. And so I got a case of the festival flu, the Coachella cough, whatever you want to call it. Came back to school, and if you didn't know, I work for a production team called Crimson Tide Productions. They're the ones who are in charge of all of Alabama athletics media. They're the ones who put everything on ESPN and TV for y'all to watch. Bama Sports. We had our end of the year award show ceremony. It's called the Hags, which is short for Have a Great Show. We had the Hags Award ceremony. I was picking up my friend Winter, who was a senior at the time, and one of our other friends. I was picking them up to give them a ride to the award show. I picked up Winter first, and then we went to pick up the other guy, and he texted, and he was like, okay, I'll be out in just a few minutes. And so we were like, it's okay, take your time. Buddy, did he take his time. He was like, oh, take your time. So he went to the bathroom. He took a shower. He took a dump. He trimmed his beard. He cleaned his shoes. He cut his fingernails. I don't even know what all he did. But literally, it took him 30 minutes. 30 minutes to come outside. So at that point, we were late. Very, very late because we still had to drive to the award ceremony. We got there literally as they were wrapping up the show. This was Winter's senior awards thing and it was all over. So we were there for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes and then we got back in the car. And then on the way back, this guy had the audacity to say, you know, I did pretty good on time back then. You did not do good on time. It took you 30 minutes to come outside. We waited in the parking lot for 30 minutes for you. Anyways, it's spilt milk. It's over. A couple days later, a bunch of the churches in Tuscaloosa put together an international prom for all the international students who may have come into the country to study at the university. Anyways, they put on an international prom to give them a taste of what an American prom is like. And it was a great time. We had a bunch of American music. We had a bunch of music from all over the world, different countries, different cultures, different languages, different everything. It was a really fun time. And then a couple days later, the high school choir had their end of the year spring concert, so I got to go and see Carolina perform in her first spring concert ever. And then to end the month of April, we had our fourth and final project for the advanced videography class. This time I was the director. I was looking around for actors, and then I decided that the best actors ever would be my own little sister Carolina and my dad as the uncle. Carolina has never acted before. Actually my dad has been in a movie before. That's another story. But anyways, that was his first time, I guess, acting. And they gave us a script, and the script was actually really sad. It's about a girl, and she gets a notification that it's her mom's birthday, and we come to find out that her mom has passed away. It's really sad, but then her uncle comes and comforts her at the end and brings her a pie. Although that shoot was super fun to have my family and my friends all together working on the project, the actual process of completing the film was a borderline catastrophe. More than halfway through the project, our audio recorder, something happened and wiped all of our audio. So we had no audio, and we had to use the audio from the camera and just deal with it. It was a mess, but we ended up working through it. I stayed up all night, literally pulled an all-nighter to edit it all together and make sure everything was picture perfect, submitted it right before going to the class, and then we went to the class and we watched all the different groups. Ours went last, and then at the end of the project, literally everybody was like, wow. Gave us a round of applause, and then the teacher said that that was probably the best project that's ever been submitted to him before. That made me feel so good. Needless to say, we ended up making a 100 on the project. I was very reassured of my abilities in the film world. After that, we took a celebratory trip to Texas Roadhouse, where we devoured some buttered rolls and some steak, and it was a great time. And that brings us to the month of May, my birth month. School ended, I completed all my finals, did great in all of my classes, and began my summer break, the best time of the year. On May 16th, I turned 20 years old, which means, unfortunately, my time as a teenager has come to an end. I'm like a real adult. That's kind of weird. And I had one of my mom's friends tell me on my birthday, she asked how old I was, and I said 20, and she said, well, Samuel, getting older is a blessing. What's that supposed to mean? What? But it was a fun birthday. Ishalon took me out for breakfast at a small local restaurant called City Cafe that I was very familiar with because I used to go to all the time in high school, but it was her first time there. And then I went, hung out with my family. We ate Outback Steakhouse for dinner, and then we went to Insomnia Cookies for dessert. And in the parking lot, there were Vios, which are these electric bikes that they have on the University of Alabama's campus. And so I unlocked one of them, and my sister and I took turns flying around the parking lot with them. It was so much fun. To be honest, not really that much happened in the month of May. I just took a step back and just chilled and relaxed almost every single day because I was so over that school year. So the last couple days of May, we went down to South Alabama to my grandparents' house because coming into the month of June, we flew out of Pensacola, Florida, and we met up with my extended family, so all 11 of us on my mom's side of the family, and we actually went to the United Kingdom. I'd never been there before. If you didn't know, my dad is from Spain. We've gone all over Europe, but we had never been to the United Kingdom before. It was actually a 1 year late celebration of my grandparents' 50th anniversary. We were supposed to do it the year before, which if you didn't know, we still kind of celebrated their 50th because we went to Arizona and Alaska, California, Hawaii, and all kinds of stuff to go celebrate that. But then we did an official celebration in the UK to celebrate their 50th anniversary. We went to England. We had the most incredible tour guide. His name is Darren, and we're friends on Facebook now. Very funny, very nice guy. I think it was like a 10-day tour around the entire UK. So we got to know him pretty well. He got to know us pretty well. It was a great time. Something interesting we saw in England was a lot of Alabama merch, like University of Alabama, Roll Tide merch, all throughout the UK, literally being sold at stores and even in thrift stores too. I saw this one girl who's wearing an Alabama shirt, and so I walked up to her and I said, Roll Tide. And she looked at me and said, what? And I was like, Roll Tide, like Alabama, you're wearing a University of Alabama shirt. And she looked at me and she said, oh, I don't know, I just thought it looked cool. Can you believe they are appropriating Southern culture in the UK? Mind-blowing. The disrespect. If you're gonna buy some Bama merch, at least learn to say Roll Tide. When we were in York, my phone actually connected to EduRoam, which is the university's Wi-Fi. So I guess they do it at like other schools too. I didn't realize it. I thought it was just University of Alabama. But maybe it's like all colleges. Maybe it was like a study abroad program. But throughout the entire city, my phone was connected to EduRoam Wi-Fi, which is pretty cool because I don't have service over there. It's in Europe. I have an American coverage. Also, when we were in Windermere, our bus broke down. So we were stuck in that little town for like the entire day. And so my cousin Laura, Beth, and I, we had fun just walking around the whole town. We actually went hiking and we found like the very top of the town. We were able to look over the town and the cool little river that we were on. And then we actually ended up eating dinner in a hotel that was in that town. And the dinner was paid for by the travel company that we were doing the tour with because the bus broke down. So to compensate for that, they paid for all of our dinners, which was so sweet. So then we went to Scotland. While we were in Scotland, Carolina bought some bagpipes. And so she was playing bagpipes all throughout the streets of Scotland with for real bagpipe players who would be like performing on the side of the street. It was pretty cool. We actually went to a real Scottish castle, and then we ate dinner, and I ate haggis down the road from that castle, and there was like a live bagpipe player who performed for us while we ate. It was pretty cool. And he played Thunderstruck, a Bama football anthem. It's like what they run out on the field to. So then we continued to make our way around the UK. We went to Northern Ireland, and then Ireland as well. And while we were in Ireland, we went to a real Irish pub. So we ate dinner there, and some people in my family who were of age had some drinks. We had a great time there dancing. They had some live Irish music. They had real Irish dancers performing and dancing dancing for us. It was so cool. Great time. Lots of memories were made there. And then I remember one of the nights that we were in Ireland, Carolina fell asleep while we were on the tour bus. And when we got to our hotel super late at night, we woke her up and then we ate dinner at the hotel, and she was so disoriented. She thought that it was the morning and we were having roast beef for dinner, and she thought we were having roast beef for breakfast, and she was looking around. She said, "Why are we having roast beef for breakfast?" When I tell you, I laughed so hard because she thought she'd slept through the entire night. And then to finish our tour of the UK, we stopped in Wales for a little bit. I got a cool sweatshirt. And then before leaving the UK, when we got back to England, we actually took a day trip out to Stonehenge, which was so beautiful. Really cool to like see in real life. I think the real star of that location was a beautiful field of grass that Stonehenge is in. We spent a lot of time just running through the field, having a good time, taking some cool pictures out in the field. So you might think, well, the UK tour's over, so I gotta head back to America. No, because we're in Europe. So obviously we have to go see my dad's family instead of going back to America with the rest of my family, my immediate family, on a plane, and we went out to the Canary Islands where my dad is from. And we spent several weeks in the Canary Islands on a beachfront apartment. It was so nice. We had a great time staying there with weeks, spending time with family, hanging out at the beach, hanging out at the country clubs, doing everything like a Spaniard. I love that place so much. It's like a second home to me. And then the cherry on top for our Europe trip was before heading back to America, we stopped in Portugal for a few days and explored Lisbon and a few cities around the capital. And then unfortunately that marked the end of our Europe trip for that year. So came back, we actually stopped in Madrid, Spain to meet up with my cousin Joshua, who's from Kentucky, but he was staying in Madrid. And so we spent the evening with him and we had dinner with him, and then we got ice cream with him. And then we went to America. So at this point, the trip had already gone into July. One of the first things I did when I got back to America was one of my great friends, Mark Latang, was a drummer for a band called The Rookies. And they were playing at a local bar here in Tuscaloosa called Copper Top. So he asked if I would come and take pictures of him and the band. So obviously I did, filmed for them, I took some pictures. Also around that time, I started spending a lot of time with a group of friends who are now some of my closest friends. I call them the Sexy Pups. So you might have seen a few of my other videos with them in it. Started spending a lot of time with them in the month of July. One of the first things we did all together was we went over to my friend McKay's house because McKay was house sitting for somebody who had a pool in their backyard. So we all got together and we went swimming in the pool, and then we went back to McKay's house and we watched movies until super late at night. Also around that time, my cousin Anna and her mom Paula from North Carolina, they came down to Tuscaloosa for the weekend to scout out the university because Anna is an up-and-coming college student. They came and they stayed with us, they checked out the university and we hung out with them. All this was happening while I was in the process of moving out of my apartment because my lease had ended. So that was pretty chaotic. I had to be gathering all my stuff and getting all my crap out of the apartment while still spending time with Anna and Paula. It was pretty crazy. I did do one last hurrah of a night last night in the apartment. I did a video on that where I did like everything under the moon. Kind of pulled an all-nighter. It was pretty crazy. Anyways, go check it out. Also around the end of July, Jordan Peele released his newest movie called Nope. My friend Zach and I are huge Jordan Peele thriller movie fans. We loved Get Out, we loved Us, so we went to check out Nope. Obviously it was great. Also around that same time, my job for that summer was working at a local day camp at a church, and one of the things we did at the end of the summer break for them was we took all the kids to a trampoline park called Upsurge, and we spent the day there with them, which was super fun. Obviously I was showing up all the kids because they thought they were so cool doing cartwheels on the trampoline. So I was out there doing like double fools and showing them up and being like, look, you gotta know who's boss. And then to end the month of July, my group of friends, we spent a night hanging out with one of our friends, Gracie Vanderford, who was transferring to the University of Mobile. And so since she would be moving, we decided to spend one big last night with her, hanging out with her and having fun. She actually took my vlog camera and did like an entire vlog takeover, which is on my channel somewhere, but you gotta figure out how to get to the video. It's a secret video. There's a way to get to it. You gotta figure it out. Let me know down in the comments if you find it. That brings us to the last couple weeks of summer break and the month of August. To start it off, 80 Pi, one of the sororities here at the University of Alabama, they asked me to come and film their work week, which is when all the active members prepare for upcoming Bama Rush, which if you've been living under a rock, Bama Rush is a pretty big deal. Everybody knows about it like worldwide. But anyways, it's here in Tuscaloosa. But anyways, I got to go spend a lot of time inside the house and spend a lot of time with these sorority sisters, see a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I was filming for them and doing a lot of social media stuff for them throughout their work week. So that was pretty cool. One of the first nights in August, it was our friend Alden's 21st birthday, so we took him out to Baumhauer's, which is a local restaurant in Tuscaloosa. He had actually just had labrum surgery on his shoulder, and so to make him feel included, we all decided to wear slings. Some people wore boots and some people wore a Lululemon fanny pack to pretend it was a sling so that we could match him. And then later that night, one of my childhood friends, Gracie Matthews, came home. So obviously I came home and I spent a lot of time with her, goofing off and acting like we were 5 years old again. A couple days later, I invited all the Sexy Pops to come to my house for the first time. So that was pretty fun. They came over and we ate dinner together at a local restaurant in this side of town called Jalapenos. That's actually right beside my high school. And so after that, Angel Hunt and I went down to the football field and we ran around on the football field in the pitch black darkness. And then Isaac ended up taking Luke's AirPods because he thought they were his. So anyways, we had to go to Isaac's house to get Luke's AirPods. Also, I remember we came into Jalapenos like 45 minutes to an hour before they closed or something like that, and we walked in. They were so rude. They were like glaring at us, and we were like, oh, can we get a table for 4 or 5 or how many people were there? And they were like, okay, well, we've already closed up, but you can go sit at the bar. And so we went and we sat at the bar, and then the people at the bar were like, why are you sitting here? You're not 21 yet. And we're like, well, the people told us to sit here. Everybody was mad at us, but they still served us food, and it was good. A couple days later was Bama Rush's bid day, which is like the biggest day of Bama Rush when all the girls find out what sorority they got into. I was called back by AD Pie to come film their bid day festivities and then to go to the bid day after party down at the Tuscaloosa River Market, which was so much fun. I got to film with them and hang out with them and honestly just go to a party, and it was pretty fun. And that was one of the last things I did for the summer because my junior year of college at the University of Alabama started. Obviously, we had the fraternity rush week, which is a lot different than sorority rush week. It's a lot more laid back and chill and just hanging out with the guys and having fun with people. The rush events that we had was a pizza and game night. We rented out the bowling alley again. We had a night at the rec center. We had a cookout where we invited all the guys to come in and hang out with us. We rented out a broomball facility, and then obviously to end rush week we had open chapter. That was a lot of events, but we ended up having one of our biggest pledge classes ever, and one of the guys in our pledge class is my little Nate, who's from the same small town that my mom is from, and he knew my grandmother from church, and my grandmother texted me and was like, hey, there's this guy coming to Bama, you should be his friend. And I was like, okay, Nana, I'll try and find him out of the 40,000 people that go here. And I ended up finding him, and then he ended up rushing the fraternity, and now he's my little in the fraternity, which is so crazy how the Lord works. But even though the semester had just started, I decided to pack up my bags and go down for a second trip down to Auburn to visit my friend Lizanne. The main event of that weekend, my childhood friend Gracie Matthews, she is a rock star. And I mean that figuratively, but also literally, like she's a literal rock star. Like she is the lead singer of a rock band that travels the country, which is so incredible. But anyways, they were performing at Auburn, so obviously drove down, stayed with Lizanne, and then we went to their show at Sky Bar. It was so cool. I will say, although I dogged on Auburn earlier in the video and said that there's nothing there, they have Sky Bar, and Sky Bar is awesome. And Gracie and the band Fly By Radio are awesome. But anyways, that was such an incredible night. I did a vlog on that. You should go check it out. The next weekend, my fraternity went down to the Cahaba River, and we got a bunch of inner tubes and we floated down the river. I did a vlog on that. It was super fun, but it was also super painful. But then at the end, there was cliff jumping, which was super fun. And then we came back home that night. My new hoodie came in, which I think you see over here. That's like my favorite hoodie ever. It's from another YouTuber that I watch. Her name is Summer McKean. I've watched her forever and ever and ever. She's so cool. She's one of the first YouTubers I ever watched. So I got that night, and then also hung out with the Sexy Pops, did a vlog on all that. A couple days later, Lainey came into Tuscaloosa to perform at the amphitheater, and my friend Kendra had these really nice like VIP tickets. So she invited me and a couple of her other friends to go and watch the Lainey concert and also eat at like the buffet and everything with the VIP stuff there. It was pretty cool. And that was actually my first time at the amphitheater. I had never been there before. That brings us to the month of September. The first weekend in September was the first Alabama home game day against Utah State. We absolutely demolished them, but it was so great to be back in Bryant-Denny Stadium for Alabama football my junior year. Also, the University of Alabama had a 3-day weekend that weekend, so I had a great time with all of my friends, just hanging out and having fun throughout that entire weekend. We went over to Jeremiah's house and we watched a movie called Whiplash. I'll keep my thoughts and emotions to myself. There was a pretty big battle after the movie was over whether or not it was a good movie. And then after that, Ajalana and I decided to pull an all-nighter together. We stayed up all night, and then we went and we watched the sunrise out at Lake Nickel. I tried to teach her how to skip rocks on the water, and we will continue working on that. And then to celebrate our achievement of staying up all night, we went to Waffle House. I was absolutely delirious. I honestly don't even remember it. And then I went back home and I slept like the entire day because I was so exhausted. A couple days later, my advanced videography professor from the spring semester invited me to be a production assistant on his legitimate film set, which I thought was so cool. It still is so cool. I spent 2 days working on the film set. I got to meet all the actors and all the crew and everything and see kind of like how things are done behind the scenes on like a for real film set. The film is called The World Drops Dead. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. And then that weekend, our friend Peyton texted in the group chat and said, what if we went to the beach this weekend? And we were like, what do you mean? Why would we go to the beach? And she said, my family is a beach house. So anyways, we packed up our stuff. In less than 24 hours, we all decided we were going to the beach, and it was so much fun. I did a couple vlogs on that. Make sure to go check them out because there's some really fun vlogs. And that's when I would say our group of friends, like for real, solidified on that trip. It was so much fun. Ajalon got a flat tire, which is ironic because the last time the two of us went to the beach together, we also got a flat tire. So we've just decided we're not allowed to go to the beach together anymore. We watched Alabama beat Texas, horns down, and then we went and celebrated on the beach. We went to the pool. We went out to eat at Lulu's. We had a game night. We broke a couch. It was insane. A few days later, my fraternity had our first date party of the semester, which was themed senior citizens. I brought Angela with me and we all dressed up like senior citizens, sprayed our hair gray, wore powdered wigs, stuffed our shirts and our pants. And it was a really nice event. We had it at a steakhouse and then we played like bingo and a bunch of other games that senior citizens enjoy. I had pulled an all-nighter the night before doing homework or something like that. So I hadn't slept for like almost 48 hours. And I remember I was so exhausted. I don't even remember the majority of that event. I remember like people talking to me and like I physically could not comprehend what they were saying. Like it was like they were speaking another language I didn't understand. And it was kind of scary and I started to freak out. I remember pulling Angela onto the side though and being like, we need to leave. Like I'm not okay. But then I think we ended up staying the whole time anyways. And then I'm pretty sure I got sick like the next day. Probably because I hadn't slept in so long. Dude, something I've learned this year is get your sleep. Fix your sleep schedule. Because if your sleep isn't right, then it messes up everything else about your life. And then at the end of the month of September, my fraternity had our big little reveal. I was revealed as Nate's big. Everybody knew it was gonna happen because we were already close, but it was still a really cool night. Which brings us to the month of October. So one of the first weekends in October, Alabama played Texas A&M at home. So it was a pretty big deal. Anna and Paula came from North Carolina again. My Uncle Rob came from Kentucky. Everybody was in town. So we all ate a big family dinner at Baumhauer's. And then later that night, I went to the Phi Slam Pirate Party, which was so much fun. That was one of like the best college parties I've ever been to. It was so crazy. And then the next day we played Texas A&M. It was almost bad. They almost had us, but they didn't. Roll Tide. And then the next day we had our fraternity officer elections for the upcoming year, and I was voted the new vice president of the fraternity. So I'll be starting my term as VP in January, and it'll last from January to December. So I'll be in charge of planning any and all events, brotherhood events, swaps, date parties, open parties. Then that weekend, my fraternity had another brotherhood retreat. We rented a different lake house out at Lake Martin, but that was really nice to go hang out with them for a weekend, enjoyed the lake. We watched a Tennessee game, which we're not going to talk about that, but it was a great time hanging out with them and just spending some quality time with the brotherhood. A couple days later, I decided I was going to check something else off my bucket list, and I bleached my hair and went fully platinum white blonde, from my dark natural hair color to like a platinum white blonde color. Did a video on that, obviously. And obviously, I'm still rocking the blonde hair. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And the blonde hair made a big public debut at Bama's homecoming football game against Mississippi State University. My friend Leah Dunaway invited me to ditch the student section and go sit up in the Champions Club with her, which was so incredible. They had all you can eat food, so I absolutely tore up the buffet in there. And then to end the month of October, the college ministry that I'm a part of, they had their annual fall retreat, and it was so much fun getting to spend time with the people I go to church with. And because it was Halloween weekend, obviously there was a big costume party, and so I ended up going as Cruella DeVille's male counterpart, Mr. DeVille, if you will. It was pretty fun. Did a vlog on that too. All right, now heading into the month of November. To start off the month of November, I was actually a BTS photographer on another film set that was actually run by a group of college students at the university. So that was a good experience, getting to hang out with them on another film set, getting to see a lot of BTS stuff. I was in charge of taking all the BTS pictures that they can like upload to their social medias to promote their upcoming film. My fraternity had another swap with AD Chi at Shindig, which is a local entertainment place. I don't really know what to call it, but they have like laser tag, bowling, mini golf, arcades, pizza, stuff like that. We had a whiteout event there, so everybody wore white, and also my hair was white too, so it was like kind of on brand. Also in the month of November, Carolina celebrated her Sweet 16. I helped my parents set up her birthday party, and we made sure that she could have the best Sweet 16 possible, and I think it was a pretty big success. She had a lot of people come. It was a super fun party. I got to DJ for her, and so I threw on all the best songs to dance to, and it was a great time. A couple days later, Bucks had another date party, and this one was actually a gingerbread house competition. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be in December, but then something happened in December and we had to bump it up literally a month to make it work out. So everybody dressed up in their Christmas sweaters really early, and Ajalon came with me, and we ended up winning second place on our gingerbread house. The next day, Crimson Tide Productions actually took me and the rest of the CTP crew down to the Alabama football locker room to go see the Bama football locker room and their ice baths, and even the entrance tunnel, which I didn't realize has like screens lining the entire tunnel. And they played some really awesome hype videos for us, and I felt like I was on the Bama football team. I've lived in Tuscaloosa my entire life, and even then I was still kind of starstruck. It was pretty cool. A few days later, my fraternity partnered with the BCM here at the University of Alabama, and we threw on a big event called the Barn Dance. The BCM has done it for several years now, but we decided to partner with them to help with funding and to make it an even bigger event. And they hired a professional square dance caller to come and teach us all how to square dance and line dance, and it was so much fun. I never square danced before, but by the end of the night, I can say that I'm like pretty much a square dance professional. And as VP, I am going to make sure that we do that next year because it was so much fun. That brings us to the end of November. So to start off Thanksgiving break, the fraternity at a national level actually flew me and all the other newly elected officers out to Texas to go to a conference conference known as the National Leadership Summit, where they split us all up and teach us all individually how to do our jobs and how to also to work together as an officer corps to ensure the success of the fraternity for the upcoming year. That was my first time in Texas, and I was pretty excited to be there. I'll probably have to make another trip at some point because I didn't really get to explore that much of Texas, because when we got to the airport, they just put us on a bus and took us to the camp. And then when the conference was over, they put us on the bus and took us right back to the airport. When I got back into town, my aunt and uncle from Spain had flown in to come surprise visit us for Thanksgiving break. I made sure to spend a lot of time with them while they were in town. Also, my extended family from Kentucky and South Alabama also came to Tuscaloosa, and we all celebrated a big family Thanksgiving together, including somebody from Nigeria, including people from Spain, including people just from all over the world. It was such a great night. And also, since Gracie was in town, we decided to go to a childhood hangout spot and have fun, and she brought a taser out, which was weird. And then to end Thanksgiving break, Alabama played Auburn in the annual Iron Bowl. We whooped their tail, and it ended up raining later that night, so we were all soaking wet, but we didn't really care because once again, we had put Auburn in their place. I think, actually, can you see this picture right here? That's a picture of all the sexy pops together at the Iron Bowl, which brings us to December. We're on the finishing stretch, guys. To start off the month of December, my church, Calvary Tuscaloosa, put on their annual Christmas at Calvary service. It's this really big Christmas service where they have all the Christmas songs and all the most incredible worship leaders and a great Christmas message from our new pastor. Just an incredible time to invite new people to church for Christmas and celebrate the true meaning of Christmas, which is the birth of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. A couple days later, I filmed the high school Christmas concert that Carolina was in, and I gotta say that was a great way to end my fall semester as a junior in college. They sounded incredible as always. And now that we were on Christmas break, you've probably seen them. They're some of my most recent videos. The Sexy Pops all decided to pack our bags and drive down to Orlando, Florida for a week down there. We stayed in the most incredible timeshare, and we did 3 days in Disney World and then even a day in Universal Studios. I'd never been before, but oh my gosh, I can't believe what I was missing out on. Disney World is good for like the experience, the vibes, you know, but the rides at Universal, Velocicoaster, Hagrid's motorbikes, dude, those are some of the best roller coasters I've ever been on in my life. I'm already dying to go back, and we were just there a couple weeks ago. When we came back from Orlando, we actually spent one last night all together watching Elf, eating Chipotle, and then Ajalon's sister Araya came over and she put cornrows in my hair. And I tried to sleep on it, but then when I woke up the next morning, they had like all come out because I sleep very, very hard. And then to end the year, I packed my bags one last time in 2022, and my family got in the car and we drove down to South Alabama to once again celebrate the new year. It's pretty cool how we come full circle like that. Anyways, that was my 2022 recap. I know it was really long. If you're still watching it at this point, thanks for watching. I mean, you're more committed than I probably would be. I hope y'all have all had the most incredible 2022, and I hope that 2023 is even better to y'all. With all that being said, this has been a long video. My back hurts and I'm tired of talking, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched it to this point, comment your favorite thing that you did in 2022. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you liked the video, and also make sure to comment and subscribe down below. Jesus loves you. Happy New Year. Peace out. Okay, Britton is upset about something. Hello? Hello? Papa? Carolina? What in the world? I will be right back. Oh my gosh. Why would you do that?
What do you mean? Did you think you were going crazy?
Yes. Dude, that just gave me shivers down my spine.
What do you mean? Do you think it was like a ghost or something?
Yes. No, I was looking out the door and I didn't hear the garage door open. I didn't hear you come in. And so I literally thought, like, when I was walking back, I was like, I literally just heard a ghost. Anyways, I'm filming a video. Anywho. What else was I gonna say? Oh. Okay, the next day, not the next day. Ugh! Oh, it's hot. It's so hot. I don't know why I'm wearing a beanie and a hoodie. It's so hot. Looks like that wraps up, oh my gosh. Looks like that wraps up the month of February, or January. Oh! Looks like that wrap up, oh my gosh! And then one of the first weekends in the month of Auburn, that's the first time I've ever gotten a flat tire in that car. That's also a lie. No, it's not. And the blonde hair. Can I put a heart?